number 14 Utah. Now, when we wrote this script, again, the Utes were 6.5 favorites. Since then, Utah has, or I guess it came out that Cam Rising is more than likely not playing in this game. Tore his ACL in the Rose Bowl, is still rehabbing from that, and will likely not be ready to go tonight as you're listening to this against the Florida Gators. When we hit record, that line had slid all the way down to 4.5, some places even 4. Now, because we got this at its original place, we're going to bet it on that 6.5 number. But I will lead off by saying, folks that are slinging mud from the Florida side, saying they have a huge chance to pull this off. I think you're forgetting that Graham Mertz is your quarterback. From the Utah side, listen, you can't be as confident that you're going to win this game. I don't care if it's at home. Florida is not a pushover week 1 opponent, and losing your starting quarterback is a big deal no matter how you slice it. Now, Trey, Utah is at an advantage because they have the ability to set Bryson Barnes up as QB1 this entire game week, right? And for most of the offseason, he and Nick Johnson have been able to either alternate or focus one at a time as QB1. I've got to feel like that helps Utah more than if this was a week 7 game, for instance, and you lost your starting quarterback the week before.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the same song and dance that we saw last year with Utah. If you recall, when they played, I think it was Washington State on the road on like a Thursday or Friday night. We're all tuning into that game like, oh, Cam Rising's not playing tonight. Surprise, surprise. We found that out at kickoff. So very similar vibes to this one. Utah handled business in that game relatively easy behind their defense and run game. And I think they'll be able to do it against Florida as well. I think that 6.5 point line kind of already had the Cam Rising injury baked into it. For me, I think Utah is the more proven team at this point. There's no Anthony Richardson making crazy plays to bail out Florida this year. Utah really handed that game away. They were going in for a tying field goal, at least maybe touchdown, and fumbled it towards the goal line last year to lose that game down in Gainesville. And that was with the number 4 overall pick at quarterback for the Gators. So that guy's gone. A lot of talent is gone for the Gators, and all these developments are screaming to take Florida. For me, I'm going to zig when everyone else is zagging and still lock in Utah. Definitely at the 4.5 line that it is now, and I think I'll stay with them at 6.5 as well.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my Utes. I just couldn't leave them at this point. Look, the Florida Gators, last time they played a Pac-12 team was in their bowl game, and that team couldn't throw the football at all, and they got absolutely destroyed. Now I know it's a different year, and whatever, but I'm just not going to believe in the Florida Gators right now. I don't think that they're a very good football team, and look, anything can happen. Utah doesn't have their quarterback. I feel a little betrayed that Cam Rising decided to tweet out that he was going to be fine in the middle of the summer, and now he's not fine. He was like clowning people for suggesting he would even miss this game, and then turns out he's maybe the trickster. So I'm not necessarily feeling great about that, but we're going to forgive Cam. He'll be back soon. For me, this is just going to be on the back of Jaquindon Jackson being a stud. I don't think Florida's going to have an answer for him. I think this is your introduction to one of my offseason breakout candidates. And so, yeah, I'm going to go with big Jaquindon Jackson. We're gonna stick with Utah. Give me -6.5. Give me -4.5. Whatever line you want to give me, I'm going to take Utah.
This is so interesting because this truly does affect how I picked the game. So when I picked the game, Florida +6.5, I think Florida can stay within the number for 2 reasons. One, I think their play in the trenches is going to be good enough to keep Jaquindon Jackson from going crazy. Now, I think Jackson's going to get his. I think that's where Utah's offense is going to have to roll through. But if you remember last year, Florida's defense stood up against Utah when it absolutely mattered the most, and they stuffed the run, right? Now, at home versus away, I get that's a different dynamic, but Florida has been recruiting, especially on the defensive line, at an SEC level. That's kind of the one position group that I'm not super concerned about with them. They also have Trevor Etienne, right? And, listen, Graham Mertz supposedly has more tread on the tires. If you listen to other shows, I heard Josh Pate talking about it. The Wisconsin staff, the outgoing Wisconsin staff, kind of admitted, yeah, we kind of mishandled him. We didn't manage Graham Mertz the way that he needed to be managed in order to play winning football. Remember, once upon a time, after a win, I guess I think it was over Illinois a couple of years ago, Graham Mertz was supposed to be a Heisman frontrunner, right? The Week 1 Heisman Award was given to one freshman, Graham Mertz. It's been nothing but a seemingly slippery slope since then. So I don't think necessarily that you're going to get a terrible performance from Mertz. I just don't know that he's a winner, a game wrecker at the level that Florida is going to need in order to be really, really good this season. But ETN is, and so I like Florida to keep this close. I think it's a little bit of a rock fight. If it's at 6.5, I think Florida can keep it within 6.5. If you take me all the way down to 4.5, I don't know. Maybe I'm more inclined to say Utah is the better whole team. Regardless, I would not put money or nuggies on this game with a 10-foot pole. I mean, keep me
Absolutely not.
the heck away from this game from a betting standpoint. But
Enjoy
I'll
it
ride
without that added incentive. Just enjoy the football game.
exactly. I don't need any additive here. So I'm going to take Florida plus the points here. You guys are going to ride with Utah. I think Utah wins the game, but I think Florida keeps it maybe closer than what some folks are expecting.
Gracious him. How about